As you sit down to work or maybe texting a client back, maybe even hopping on a call, do you feel this resistance that is stopping you from being fully immersed into your work? Well, I felt the exact same way. Even after making thousands of dollars with my coaching business in the summer of 2024, I would sit down and end up just eating food and watching a show. And although, yeah, I was planning on eating or taking a small break, it turned into hours and hours away from my work because of this weird resistance that I didn't know how to pinpoint and get rid of. Now, I promise you by the end of this video, you understand exactly why something like that will happen to you in your business and how I've gotten to the point where work is genuinely just fun. And this is through teaching you the framework that I've developed through closing over $150,000 in sales for myself and other of my business partners over the time that I've been in entrepreneurship. Starting with chapter 1, sitting down is scary. Now, I'm sure you've sat down and done the work before, you've pushed your way through and you've got a lot done. But you have to admit, there's a little bit of this scariness still in the back of your mind. Like, what if this doesn't work? What if I can't scale to that next level? What if one of my clients cancels? What if somebody goes and asks for a refund? Well, in 2022, when I was first getting into entrepreneurship, I was actually clipping videos from podcasts for an agency. And what happened is I would sit down and I would just be so bored and I would be a little scared too. And I was avoiding my desk for hours because of it. Because when I did sit down, not only was it boring, it was a little scary because I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. Sure, I was making some money and I had the business or whatever, but it just wasn't where I wanted it to be. So understand that sitting down to do the work itself isn't scary. I mean, come on, typing on a keyboard and some things on a Google Doc or whatever appearing on the screen isn't that freaky. You know what I mean? Like hopping on a call with somebody it might be a little nerve-wracking, but you could probably get through it. You've done it before. However, it's not the actual work that's scary. It's the pressure that you put on it. You put on the outcome of it. As when you do this is forcing you to try and get every little thing perfect rather than sitting down and just doing the work. And weirdly enough, have you ever felt when you were overthinking and trying to make things perfect that it was harder to actually enjoy the work and it to be fun than when you were to just let go and do it? Well, it's because you're focusing on what you're doing rather than how you are doing it. And to understand this, I'm going to tell you an analogy. Imagine being in a fight. And inside of this fight, you aren't going to be thinking, what is my 78th punch going to be? You're just going to be reacting, flowing, and going, and fighting. Well, that's kind of like entrepreneurship. Except entrepreneurship, it doesn't have to be a fight, and you could just flow and have fun through your way through the work, which is actually going to get you more results. However, much of the time, even when you know you shouldn't focus on the result, you tend to overthink or sometimes think you are way better than you are, deluding yourself into not getting the result either. So we want to be able to have a balance between these things. What I mean by this is just like in the middle of that fight, if you think you're going to win 100% no matter what, if you're fighting Conor McGregor, you're probably not. So what you're going to want to understand is the difference between arrogance and awareness and how to utilize these inside of your entrepreneurial journey, which is going to lead me to chapter 2. Chapter 2, arrogance and awareness. So when I first hit my very first $5,000 month in February of 2024, it was amazing. I mean, imagine you're I think I was, 16 at the time, and I make $5,000. I mean, that's a decent bit at that age. Well, what happened is there was a pretty big problem. It dropped all the way down to $500 a month just in May of 2024, so a few months later, because I was too arrogant to realize that when I was focusing on every little micro detail, that didn't make me make more money. It made me make less. Because the work took forever to get done. I ended up procrastinating because I thought it was going to be wrong and I needed to be in the perfect mental state. And by the time I got done with the things that I needed to do to deliver to the clients that I had, it was already too late. So what you need to understand is arrogance and awareness and how to utilize these. And well, that's all going to start with what they are. So let's imagine, you got kind of a graph, right? And you got arrogance. Arrogance, you're just thinking you're kind of better than you are. Awareness is clarity in your perception. And what we want to be able to do is be competent. Well, competence comes from awareness with execution. However, with execution, like imagine arrogance is up here and awareness is down here. Well, with execution being over here, typically the more you execute, the closer you get to being more arrogant. This is at the start. And this is simply because of the fact that, well, you're seeing some results and you're not thinking, oh my God, I'm great. But the issue is that when you get to this point at the start of, you're being pretty arrogant, as you execute more, you ever realize, like, as you do more work, you get to the point where you're focusing on every little micro detail and you want it to be perfect. And as you scale, you just feel like there's more and more and more problems weighing down on you. So it makes you become more aware of your situation, less arrogant. But what ends up happening is you end up executing less because of, that same thing. So you kind of end up dipping. Well, over time, competence comes from you continuing to execute regardless of this dip, and then you're going to be able to continue to go, and this arrogance is replaced with competence, and you end up reaching that competent level with the awareness within your execution. And the best part about that is competence, it creates confidence. And confidence is just no internal or external pressure. Why is this so good? Well, imagine being able to sit down and feel free to do what you want, get the work done without any other pressures saying otherwise. Well, you can have that even if you feel like your situation is different. Even though one of your entrepreneurial friends is going out to this other country and you feel like you can't afford it or whatever that might be, you will be all right. And that pressure isn't actually going to be weighing on you if you can create that confidence. Well, our goal is to be able to sit down and have enough confidence to actually do the work. Weirdly enough, what you'll realize is the only way to get that confidence to do the work is to start anyways. And you're going to feel this dip and you're going to feel like you have all the awareness of all of your problems in the world, but not enough confidence to handle all of them, or not enough time to handle all of them because of some sort of internal or external pressure in your life. And let me hammer this home through an analogy. When you go into the gym, as you put in more reps, let's say on the bench press, the stronger you get, the more confidence you're going to have, as it's just going to come naturally. And the pressure to feel ready to rep a certain weight is going to disappear because you are ready. You showed up, you did the weights. So if you move from one weight to the next, you can do the weight you did before, and you're not gonna have this pressure to feel ready to do it because you've already done it. It's the same thing with your work. And just because you showed up there and you did it, you're able to have this pressure kind of alleviated off of you to feel ready because you already are and you know you can do it because you've done it before. with that being said, how do you even get to that place in the first place with your work? How do you get to the point where you actually feel ready and you are stronger and you develop the skills you want to? Well, it's through something pretty simple, which is going to lead me to chapter 3. Treat it like a game. You want to just treat your work like a game, because the worst case scenario is you are in the same position as you were in before. And if the worst case scenario is that, which by the way, it's actually not. The worst case scenario is better than that. But I'm just saying that because that's what our brains can understand. So if the worst case scenario is that you're in the same situation as you were in before, that's not that bad of a scenario because you were in there anyways and you just spent a little bit of time figuring out that that's not the way to go. Best part about that is that it actually will be the way to go, because when you treat it like a game, you just show up, you have fun, and you play this game of business. What you'll be able to realize is that you're developing skills and the work is working on you more than you're working on it. So after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you're going to have that experience to reflect on. And after reflecting on your experience, you'll realize that you aren't in the same situation as you were before, even if your income only went from $5,000 to $10,000 a month, which it's kind of a jump, but it's like not $100,000 or $50,000 a month. Instead, what you'll realize is, hey, you had that experience, you've developed certain skills, and you've grown as a person as well, which you can then utilize these skills and this experience in the future. It's all about having that open mindset, regardless of if you've progressed or not. And the reason I say this is because you actually will. When this work is actually fun and you're treating it like a fun game that you're playing, you will progress because you're focusing on playing the game rather than when you get done. Now, how do you do this? How do you make it like a game? Did I say that, right? What does that even mean? Well, first thing is set a new standard. And this is just something that is ridiculously easy to hit. So, what I mean by this is, for example, imagine you want to become a marathon runner. Actually, I will be running a half marathon sometime soon anyways. I'm running a 10K this weekend already. And the standard that you have to set for that, you think, oh wow, such a big goal. Well, just show up to the gym and run like half a mile. And then the next time, run 3/4 of a mile. And the next time, run a mile, right? And every week, increase that standard just little by little by little by little by little. And gamify it. Track your progress. See what was your pace. Because as you go there and get better and better, you realize your pace is getting faster. You're like, oh, you actually want to show up there and show up again. And then if you don't hit a faster pace, or for example in your business, maybe you want to generate 20 new leads a day or follow up with 50 of your leads in a day for your high ticket services. Well, if you don't hit that, all you have to do is figure out why. And then how are you going to figure that out? Well, look at your day and ask yourself, why did I not do that thing? And the more you sit down and set these standards for yourself and release this pressure off, the more awareness you're going to have of this, not only in reflection, but in the moment, allowing you to more consistently hit your standards. And that's not just going to increase your standards, but that increase in standard is going to exponentially grow your results. So interestingly enough, the work that you do becomes more fun when you don't treat it like work and instead treat it like a game. And you get more results when you don't focus on getting the results and instead you focus on gamifying the process. If you want help with gamifying the process and a little bit more one-on-one feedback on what you can do differently to be able to make this make more sense for you in your life, then just click the top link in the description. Follow me on Instagram and then DM me and let me know you watched this video, and I'm totally down to help you out for free. Peace.